What's up, Cousin G? Before we show you some exercises and stretches, we want to show you some structures so that you can better understand why we want you to do these exercises. Okay, the first one we're going to try to palpate or feel what we call the manubrium right here. If you palpate laterally, move towards the side, this whole entire bony structure here is called the clavicle. That clavicle has two ends. One is called the sternal clavicle, which is right here. This one has what we call the sternoclavicular joint. This is the only connection your entire actual body has to your upper arm. So this is the only one all the way throughout your scapula. On the other end of your clavicle is what we call the acromial end. This part has the acromioclavicular joint, which connects it posteriorly to your scapula right here, and we'll show you that in a minute. When you move laterally, well, towards the side, you'll feel a really bony structure here called the acromion process. Again, this is what articulates to the clavicle's acromial end. Underneath it, right, inferior or underneath it, below it, deep down there, you'll feel another bony structure, which is what we call the coracoid process. It's important to know that there's a bony structure there because there are muscles and ligaments that are either attached or originate there that is responsible for movements such as diagonal adduction and abduction for when you're playing your violin. Now, as we move towards the posterior side, let me move you towards the posterior side. As we move to the back or posterior side of your body, right, you'll feel the scapular spine, right? If you don't know what your scapula looks like, just imagine that, okay? This side right here is what we call the medial border, because it's in the midline, inferior border, or bottom, and lateral, because it's towards the side. Now, we want to tell you all of this because it's important. There are muscles that are, again, either inserts or originates on these bony structures that help your shoulder girdle either elevate, regress, depresses, protract, which is punches forward, retracts, which is pulling your scapula together posteriorly, upward rotation, and then downward rotation. And now we're going to talk about giving you the exercises and soft muscle tissue massages.
Hey, Cousin G, I heard you've been having a lot of pain in your shoulder here, in your left shoulder in particular. Just for demonstration purposes, we're gonna do it on the other side, but what we're gonna have you do is we're gonna have you put this lacrosse ball or tennis ball, whatever you have at home, up here on this strap right here, and then have you lean into a door frame, as my lovely assistant will do here. And then you're gonna grab your arm that you're kind of leaning into and pull across the midline. What's gonna do right here is you're gonna stay right here for about a minute and a half, just breathing throughout it. It's gonna help release the upper trapezius.
Now we're going to show you an exercise that will help strengthening your shoulders and as well as help to stabilize it, because you do a lot of constant protraction, retraction, upward rotation, downward rotation of your shoulders when you're performing your events. So this workout is what we call a towel pull apart. Now, for the sake of this video, we don't have a towel, but we'll use the resistance bands. So what you'll do is shoulder width apart, lift up your hands, and I want you to just pull apart that band, that towel, this shirt, or whatever the case may be. Now, this workout is helping you strengthening your rear deltoids, because it's in a constant contraction, or what we call an isometric contraction. And strengthening this will help stable your shoulders, so you'll have a more neutral position when you're standing up and doing your events. Now, another variation to help with the anterior side of your deltoid is retract your shoulders go on the side real quick. So retract meaning pull your shoulders back, and as you're pulling that apart, raise your hand upwards, elevate it. That way you contract those trapezius muscles and the front of your deltoids, or what we call your anterior deltoids. Now these are all important because once you strengthen all of these muscles, it will help stabilize the shoulder girdle, right? So when you're doing your, when you're playing your violin, right? Because you're holding the violin up here, and you want this to be stable. You don't want it to be protracted too much or retracted too much, or you don't want it elevated too much or depressed, right? This workout helps all those muscles to ensure that when you're performing, there is strength in the muscles, there's endurance, and there's less pain when you are performing. Hopefully this helps. Next one is going to be stretches that can help you with any type of pain and stiffness, especially with your shoulders.
The cat-cow pose can provide several benefits for the trapezius muscles and other muscles in the back and the neck. The cat-cow pose involves arching and rounding the spine, which can help stretch the trapezius muscles. When you arch your back in the cow position, you lengthen and stretch the trapezius muscles along the upper back and the shoulders. This can help relieve tension and tightness in these muscles, which is partially beneficial if you spend long hours sitting or working at a desk. The flowing movement between cat and cow positions helps mobilize the entire spine, including the cervical neck and the thoracic upper back regions. This can improve flexibility and reduce stiffness in the trapezius and surrounding muscles. It also helps promoting good posture, relieve stress and tension, and improves the blood circulation.